Hi, I want to talk to you a little bit about some product strategies as an entrepreneur in this Founders Institute program, and just share some knowledge and perhaps best practice of what I've seen over my 15 plus years in the space. The key message here really is you have to do as much as possible by yourself. It's very tempting to think I can raise capital to go and build an MVP, and they can go and hire devs and designers and deliver on my vision. The simple reality is that's backwards. You have to de-risk the proposition as much as possible and get as many evidence points, proof points, data points that are going to give you that credibility with investors. And you may well find in that learning process that you're actually able to get a lot further than you think you can. So one thing that I've seen consistently in entrepreneurship generally, and also a couple of times in this program, is that there's a lot of predatory dev shops, offshore entities that are selling you services that they can fulfill your dream. But a lot of the time they let you down. Delays, poor quality product, you never get to a finished state, and in truth, most of these projects are abandoned. There are some kind of insights I have in terms of offshoring. I've worked in 3 to 4 offshoring engagements in Far East and in India specifically. I've also worked with European companies and also in UK. My best results have always been with locally proximate developers. Even freelancers, part-timers, just people I could physically meet at some point in time, establish a baseline of communications, and the further away geographically I've outsourced, the bigger the cultural gap and the less connected the team was. So do with that information what you will. One of the key major metrics that everyone is looking for now is how many users do you have, and that can be captured in a variety of different ways. So simplistically, landing pages, email lists, social media followers, but the best proof point you have for your own sanity as well as the external audience is paying customers, or at least just visitors to your site and users of your app. So 1,000 seems to be the best metric to aim for to show that you have a reliable data prompt. So motivating people is a very challenging area. Relationships are fraught with problems, and ultimately people are messy. But one thing you want to do is make sure that you have kind of values alignment with some of the people you're working with, and just figure out what's this person like on a good day, what's this person like on a bad day, and what will they actually deliver. You have to kind of speak to a romantic side to an upside story with developers, and that can be more difficult the more experienced developers are, because they've heard these stories and pitches before. But if you can get a competent developer, 5, 7 years, 10, 15 years on your side, they really are worth their weight in gold. So you have to sell a compelling upside vision that's based in reality and give them kind of tangible milestones that they can work towards. And you need to feel good in what they're delivering, and they need to feel good in what value add that you're bringing. So there is that emotional side that you've got to speak to on a human, and that's a very difficult exercise that not everyone succeeds in. But good luck with that. Don't fall in love with your MVP. The objective of an MVP is to kind of put a constraining force on your idea exploration and to deliver a tangible output that can be delivered into the hands of an ideal customer to validate, does it work, does it make sense, does it delight, and a lot of the time these MVPs are just exercises in learning. So in every field of human endeavor, there's rewrites, there's rework, there's iterations, there's growth, there's a development. And one way to think about this in a less emotional sense is in terms of a scientific experiment. You're testing a hypothesis, you're getting data points from your environment, and then you're figuring out what needs to change, what works, what's correct, what's being validated, what's being disproven. And the more you can disprove, hopefully the closer you'll get to something that is provably correct. In terms of your roadmap, so a lot of us are drawn to entrepreneurship because we have this grand vision, but absolutely you need to break this down into a series of structured deliverables. So look at your kind of multi-year end product destination and kind of work backwards. What is a annual achievable outcome? What does that look like on a quarterly basis? What does that look like on a monthly basis? Then in terms of developing a product, what is the core audience, the core feature set that needs to go into that? And the way to think about it is a series of boxes, small boxes, medium boxes, big boxes. And what is the ideal, optimal set of features for your user need? Again, lots of customer interviews can help surface this, understanding your analytics, A/B use cases and testing on different product features. But yeah, get those ideas structured into a format where you have short, medium, long term, and get it into a pragmatic basis such that your dev team can work on the short and you not keep on changing the feature sets. That's the critical aspect. Get a very clear, simple vision, get it into the hands of your developers and be working it through into a deliverable. And in terms of artifacts that you want to end up with, you know, after 3 to 6 months of your process of developing your startup, yes, the roadmap. You want to have some kind of vision of a product suite. One way to think about this is do your actual marketing of your document or your presentation as to how you would sell it to an end customer. So you have your investor audience, but also what does the packaging look like for a product that your customer will buy? The different people codify their thoughts in different ways. I think one of the ways that Amazon does it, for example, is they'll write a press release for the product, for a new idea, and that will help bring everyone onto the same page. Some people come from kind of a deep science background and they want to kind of codify it into a quasi-academic paper, and I've seen everything in between. But I like having something that is almost a marketing brochure. You can put it in the hands of a customer and they can understand it and go, yes, I will buy this. So that's one way to kind of get your ideas aggregated and integrated. You need some design work obviously done. Whatever works for you, you know, paper sketches, PowerPoint, Figma is a great tool. And it's becoming increasingly easy and people are increasingly developing this skill to code. So just do simple stuff yourself. You know, take your work as far as you can and increase your skills incrementally, and you'll find that you've got a really polished set of artifacts that can help you win people to your story, to your cause as you're moving forward in this space. No one has it figured out. Not after 2 years, not after 20 years. And everyone is basically making best judgment calls as they're going through this space, hopefully with good advice from other people around them. So just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's a kind of an imposter syndrome that occasionally raises its head at various points in your journey. At the beginning, I would say you probably know a lot less than you need to, but over time that kind of corrects itself with sincere application to the problem and an open mind to growing and learning. You're going to get a lot of different feedback from people pulling you left, pulling you right. One of the major skills you're going to need in the early stages, certainly, is the ability to just say, that's not relevant to me, that's not relevant to now, that's not relevant to this product in this space and to what I want to do. So that ability to kind of say thank you and then just smile and move on is critical. And occasionally you will get a great piece of advice, you're like, I'm going to work on that, and it's a really valuable piece of input that you refer back to even years later. It's helping you chart a new course. Term sheets, just a final point on this. I've been looking around at various different investor networks, and one of the guys I know is a legal advisor for startup legals, and there are some horrible term sheets out there from different EIS funds. So just be really careful. Is this an investor that wants to grow an impactful business, or is this an investor doing a tax deal? If it's an investor doing a tax deal, essentially they have an accountant's mindset, and they will hit you with charges, provide minimal value add, and they're going to screw you up. So ultimately, be really careful who you take capital from. It's probably one of the most important decisions you make. It's not quite related to the specific focus of this conversation around product, but I've just seen a couple of people screw up multiple years of their life by taking the wrong capital or the wrong term sheet from the wrong people. So just a word of warning there. Yeah, and just another thought process. I know it's not really pushed in heavily in most startup circles, but if you're bootstrapping, if you've got a job, all right, it might frustrate you that you've got a job, but you've got income and you're independent and you can keep your idea alive for a lot longer than if you absolutely need to raise capital in the next 30 to 100 days. So keep your income for as long as possible, and so it makes that, you know, you've got those proof points, those 1,000 customers, you've got those artifacts, maybe even you've got some commitments from angels, and you're growing forward. So yeah, I would say bootstrapping essentially makes you unkillable, and that's great because it buys you buys you time on task in the actual game. So yeah, bootstrapping is very, very much undervalued in the startup circles. Yeah, let me know if there's any thoughts or questions that are burning in your mind, and happy to help. Thanks.